are these people?
I wanted to start with ICE and talking about what's happening with ICE and how they are terrorizing. There's no other way to describe it. The Latino community, all the immigrant communities are starting to get really worried about what these folks are doing. So you've now got Haitians that are getting deported by ICE. You've got Chinese immigrant students that are being targeted by ICE. You have all the anti-genocide protesters that have been targeted by ICE. And then, of course, you've got the Venezuelans and the Dominicans and all the Latinos that are targeted by ICE. So,
what country you from?
Yeah. If it's not here, and then they're also, that's just phase one. Phase two is to get rid of the undesirables that were born here naturally. So this is an article from OtherWords, publication I subscribe to, independent, says the nation of immigrants under attack, written by Farrah Hassen. She's one of these people who is certainly concerned about this. Over 70% of the immigrants kidnapped by ICE have no criminal record. Some are even U.S. citizens. They just don't give a crap. And part of it is because of this quota, and we're going to talk about that in a second, that Stephen Miller and his Gestapo department have put in place. What she writes is that across the country, ICE agents are tearing families apart, terrorizing communities, and upending businesses by design. Mario Romero was among those arrested by ICE recently. His daughter, Yurian Contreras, witnessed ICE agents taking him chained by the hands, feet, and waist after they raided his workplace in Los Angeles. Over 40 other immigrant workers were also arrested. Like, it's force for just to show force at this point. It's just to intimidate. It was a very traumatic experience, she told Guardian, but it was only the beginning of inhumane treatment that our families would endure. The architect of this anti-immigrant agenda, as we said, top Trump aide Stephen Miller, has demanded that ICE make 3,000 arrests like these per day, an arbitrary quota with no legal basis. To meet this quota, masked, plainclothes ICE agents embrace violent and unconstitutional tactics to abduct people from courthouses, citizenship appointments, churches, graduations, restaurants, Home Depots, farms, and other workplaces. They don't arrest the bosses, by the way. They arrest people without warrants or probable cause, violate their right to due process regularly, we've been screaming about that, and deny them their basic human dignity. Again, by design, part of the plan. There's mounting evidence of ICE using racial profiling. Go figure! Quote, we have U.S. citizens who are being asked for their documents and not believed when they attest to the fact that they're U.S. citizens. There's Angelica Salas, who directs the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. They just happen to be Latino. Our friend Arturo Dominguez will tell you all about that. In one disturbing case in Chicago, ICE agents grabbed, handcuffed, and forced Julio Noriega into a van as he stepped out of a Jiffy Lube in late January. ICE detained him for 10 hours before releasing him when they realized he was a U.S. citizen. In another instance, ICE forced 2 children, both who were U.S. citizens, one undergoing stage 4 cancer treatment, onto their mother's deportation flight to Honduras in April. The cancer patient is 4 years old, and ICE deported him without his medication. The inhumane treatment continues in ICE's sprawling network of private prisons and county jails. And here we go, follow the money. The U.S. spends over $3 billion annually on the world's largest immigration detention system, which is primarily operated by for-profit prison contractors like Geo Group and CoreCivic. These facilities are notorious for poor medical treatment, dangerous overcrowding, due process violations, and preventable deaths. With very little accountability, by the way.
You greedy dirtbag!
The largest ICE detention center in California, Adelanto, is operated by Geo Group and currently houses dozens from the LA raids, including Urien's father, Mario. The prison has a sordid history, that's to say the least. Recent detainees have been forced to sleep on the floor without blankets and pillows and have been denied a change of clothing, underwear, or towels for 10 days. That's from the LA Times. So it had to be true. If it made it all the way out to corporate media, you know that it's much worse than that. If these attacks on immigrants were really about following the law, then immigrants fleeing war and persecution would be able to exercise their right to seek asylum, which is a human right long enshrined under international and U.S. law, but they just got rid of that. Their due process rights would be respected.
Wet foot, dry foot stuff, pretty much.
Right? In fact, the vast majority of immigrants in this country, including those kidnapped by ICE, have no criminal history. According to agency data compiled by research organization Track, out of the 56,397 people held in ICE detention centers as of June 15th, 71.7% had no criminal record. That's, Kafkaesque. Jailed for doing nothing wrong, for who you are, for your name being what it is. Both Republicans and Democrats have enabled ICE's rampant human rights abuses since the agency's creation in 2003. Thank you so much to George W. Bush for that. ICE functions as a quasi-police force with limited public oversight and uses private data sources like utility bills to conduct unauthorized surveillance of potentially anyone in the U.S., including citizens, as you've seen. The current system has a vested interest in locking up and deporting people instead of pursuing a real immigration solution, like a pathway to citizenship, for example. This system, which includes ICE and its detention facilities, must be defunded and dismantled. Well, that's not happening, at least not in the next 3 years. Not with the amount of money that Trump and Congress just handed them. People abducted by ICE are not numbers. They're someone's entire world. I think we mentioned that recently. They're cherished members of communities, and they're on the front lines of defending all our civil liberties. We must stand together and demand that ICE leave our communities. We're a nation of immigrants, after all. At least I thought we were. That's what they told me we were. But now we're a white supremacist Christian nation, apparently. If you're able to and of means, please support INN and support the media you want to see. The ways to do that: Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. We've got our website, indienewsnow.com. And over at Substack, we can either go at indiemediatoday.com, where we're live right now, or at INNnewsletter.com, which is the network's newsletter. You can subscribe there and support. Anywhere you do that really helps. We appreciate it. What is the actual end goal? I would love to know what that end goal is too, Sean. It's frightening. Well, look, the Trump, Stephen Miller's end goal is the whitening of America. Sadly, that's what he wants to do. He thinks that by behaving in the manner that they're doing it and in getting rid of all the immigrants, that the only people left will be the ones who aren't. Except that every family is so mixed these days. Holy crap. How are you going to do that? You're going to start attacking your relatives or inbreeding? Because the herd is getting awfully thin.
Well, they're already doing that in a couple of places.
Well, the dirty South. I mean, they don't call it the dirty South for a reason. Hey, love our Southern brothers and sisters, but you got a reputation, and I'm guessing that there's a reason for that. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. I love you all, and we'll see you soon.
See you in a bit, fam.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
We go party.
Bye-bye!
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?